this is a uh, look at the Eastern Conference and where teams are at since in the exact middle of the season. So we're at each team has played about 40 games at this point. And yeah, we're gonna take a look at how they're performing and where we think they're going to end up. Isn't that right?
All right. Do you do I introduce myself or what's up?
Yeah, go ahead.
All right. What's up, y'all? My name is Primate on YouTube and Twitter. Um, I I'm also here to help make the tier list. So excited about it. Let's get into it.
You'll be linked in the description, don't worry.
Yeah.
So awesome. Let's get straight into it. So contenders, or sorry, let's start with the first one there, Brooklyn. Where do you think Brooklyn is here at this point?
um, I for me, like Brooklyn is immediately the first team I think of when I think sell the farm. Like I like so many of their pieces. Finney Smith, O'Neal, Bridges, Dinwiddie. Like they have a lot of pieces that a playoff team in need of some juice could use, right?
Sure.
And they got guys that like a team like Orlando, for example, would love somebody like Dinwiddie. So they have some really nice pieces.
Mhm.
I just it's not going to work this year for them as a unit. They don't really have a number one guy. That offense does not look very good. Yeah, sell the farm.
So how, but now there's some of their picks. I believe their pick this year is going straight to the Rockets, isn't that right? That's so they don't have a pick to tank for.
Oh, for sure, which is why even more like incentive to sell in my opinion.
Oh, you mean
Like they
for additional picks?
yeah, for sure. Just because, like, even if you end up, like, for example, I can understand the logic behind not trading Mikal Bridges just because maybe he's not a great number one. But if you can find a great number one or possibly get enough assets to make a trade for one, he would be an excellent number two, you know? So it's like I can understand keeping guys like him or Claxton or whoever else in that group. But there's a lot of guys there that I just feel like other teams are gonna want those guys. They might give you a couple picks for them, and without it's a way to kind of retool without needing to rebuild.
Especially Dorian Finney-Smith, bro.
For sure. Like I don't think they get two first for him, but like some team is gonna give you a nice little haul for him. Like maybe you can get a couple of picks, a nice young player for him. That's a good player right there. So yeah, sell the farm. Any disagreements?
I would say definitely change something, but as far as sell the part, well, that really depends. Like, do you want a viable like product, or like do they consider like, let's say they sell off uh, Dorian and let's say Royce O'Neal, for example, and then maybe Dinwiddie. Then that's like three guys. At that point you're basically retooling. I'd say not necessarily like
Mhm.
rebuilding. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So I don't need them to get rid of everybody.
Hmm.
I just don't like they the product right out on the floor hasn't really looked good enough for me to really believe in it as a playoff team or even a play-in team. Like they
I
don't
agree
look
with that. I
the
agree.
offense doesn't look convincing enough to me without like a Cam Johnson or a Cam Thomas, I'm sorry, explosion, from three or Lonnie Walker just losing his mind. They really struggles at times to create either in the half court or transition. So I think that that's not like dead there. I don't think that they need to just completely kill everything. Like they don't need to salt the earth, I guess. But a few trades to maybe bolster their chance at a star this summer, I think that would be the best course for them.
All right, let's put them in sell the farm then.
Yeah. All right. Let me see.
They're
Okay.
okay.
This one's the easiest one. For sure. Do we even need to go over the Celtics?
All right, just throw them in contenders.
Yeah. I think the best team in the NBA. is a contender.
Now, I will say about the Celtics, though, the scary thing is knowing how good they are with their assets, they might end up even better after the trade deadline. I just know they're going to make some move for
They
their
have
bench or
to.
whatever.
In my opinion, I really feel like as good as their starting lineup's been, and it has been, in my opinion, the best starting lineup in the NBA.
It is.
I feel like they really do have to make a trade to bolster that bench somewhat because just a real lack sometimes of physicality and athleticism, especially in the front court. And when you're playing Giannis and Embiid in the playoffs, that's the last thing you want to have. So even with Al Horford being, steady and dependable, I agree with you. Like I don't know who it's going to be. They have a lot of different options, and they still got some assets to make a solid move. But yeah, they're gonna make a move and to bolster that bench, and we'll see where they're how much better they are after it. Because yeah, right now they're good enough to win a ring, though, for sure.
Yeah, even as constructed right now, the question is usually the question with Boston I found is it really will they get in their own way?
Yeah, that's definitely a second question because as efficient as they are and as lethal as their offense can be when they're hitting all those shots, they're so dependent on the three that I wonder what the offense looks like sometimes when the threes aren't falling because we've seen it happen before.
That's
And I
true.
think this team has some better options. Like Porzingis is not necessarily the most consistent elite 3-point shooter, for example, but he provides so much more spacing than any of their other bigs in past playoffs. So the hope, I guess, is if you can get him healthy, you can get Drew healthy. Maybe you have a few more options on the offense if stuff starts stalling. But
Hmm,
to me, it's just about whether or not Tatum and Brown are going to take advantage of the spacing they have to be aggressive at the rim when those two put their heads down and like actually get to the paint, I think they're so hard to stop, and it just causes so many problems. And generally, when they don't, and when they start settling for those threes, is when the problems start.
agreed. But yeah, we can both agree then just leave it as contenders because like let's
Easily, easily.
all right. So the Hawks, I got a strong feeling on I got a strong opinion on the Hawks.
Hot take alert.
Okay, the Hawks, like, okay, they're just coming off a blowout loss to the Wizards yesterday. Now, I know they had a lot of, I know DeJounte Murray wasn't playing in that one. And I think, I don't know who else wasn't playing, but I know DeJounte Murray wasn't playing. Even so, it is the Wizards that they just got blown out by. And
Yeah.
they're outside of the play-in right now. And
Mhm.
yeah, I don't see any future for this team as constructed. I think obviously the rumors are heating up every day
Oh man,
for Murray specifically. Murray and I've seen among other names Clint Capella and basically
Bogdanovich,
everyone but Trey Young, which I think is the right move. Now,
Trey Young, and Jalen
right,
Johnson.
Dylan Johnson, yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
But DeAndre
Jalen
Hunter,
Johnson is really outside of Trey because I think Trey has been like the best that I've seen him since
he
he's come
is
into the
yeah,
NBA. On both ends too. Like he hasn't been anything more than average defensively, but with everything that he provides for you offensively, just him being that to me is just taking him to another level. I've really enjoyed his game this year, and Jalen Johnson's been hooping when he's been healthy. I saw there were signs of some of it last year, so it's I'm sure it's rewarding for Hawks fans even in a bad season for them so far to trade off John Collins, and a lot of people were maybe raising their eyebrows about that move, but that was one of those things where all the fans kind of called that one because Jalen Johnson needs his minutes, man.
yeah.
But I'm with you. Everybody but those two, get them out of here. If another team wants them,
I see them keeping Okongwu for sure. DeAndre Hunter though, that's another guy that I think would be moved, honestly.
I think that him and Wiggins have been like if they get traded somewhere, I could see both of those guys like being better somewhere else. Just like I don't think that as bad as DeAndre Hunter has been for the Hawks, I don't for whatever reason it might be this might be draft bias too. I'm definitely guilty of that. But I'm not sure that the version of him that we're seeing on this particular Hawks team is necessarily the one that he has to play. I'd
Okay,
like to see him on a different team with maybe a different role and see what that looks like for him.
agree, agree.
Yeah, we
Well,
can put them in sell the farm.
solid farm, yeah, throw him in there.
Oh, sorry, Hugs. All right. At the Chicago Bulls.
Wow, okay, well, I think this is another, so this is actually a tough one because at the start of the season, you would have said sell the farm without reservations.
100%.
But then Zach LaVine got injured, and then you had Kobe White and Patrick Williams just step up.
Hmm.
Now they look like a different team. And now, even though Levine is back, I don't believe that he's going to stay because those two young guys they really revitalized the team
Yeah.
out of nowhere, honestly. But
I the way I see it, like I was with you 100% on the sell the farm earlier,
mhm,
and I can see the argument that they should still be in sell the farm. But I think if you can get some young pieces back for Zach Levine, and pieces like that you kind of believe in, that you believe in enough that they're like second draft candidates that you might want to take a flyer on. If you're already in a place where Kobe White and Patrick Williams feel comfortable, and you already have veterans like Caruso, like Vucevic, like DeRozan, who can fill their roles very well and make it easy on those guys. I say, why not push for a play-in after? I feel I agree with you. A Zach Levine move is probably coming. Why not push for a play-in spot after that?
yeah, I see it as yeah, I think like for first of all, this front office, the Bulls front office is seems to be genetically not wired to tank at all, and they don't seem to be
Whatsoever.
in the interest of like making big changes. So I think they naturally will want to target the play-in, and if they weren't gonna like, you know, I had a hard time believing they would sell the farm before Kobe White and Patrick Williams. So now that they've you know what's the word? They've come out, so to speak, then I I really think that they're gonna go for the play-in. They're gonna make moves, but they're gonna target the play-in for sure. So we can just put
Yeah, yeah. Um, I definitely would say that they just based off of that was one of my major concerns coming into the season for them, honestly, that they weren't gonna be tankathon, but they also weren't gonna necessarily even be up there with the for sure playoff teams. That they would, maybe win a play-in game, maybe win one playoff game again, and that would be that. And it's like, is that if you don't make any changes whatsoever, is that really worth it? But to me, if you're investing in young guys in your organization like White and like Williams, and you can, I feel like playoff experience or even the experience of a playoff race can be really good for young players. So I think Kobe White has shown enough to say like, hey, we might have something here, and for that reason alone, I say push for the play-in. Just you already have a competent system in there. You already have some guys you believe in. Assuming you trade Levine, you're probably going to have a few more guys you want to see play some basketball so you can make some decisions on their futures. I say push for the play-in, man. Might as well.
yeah, let's do it.
All right, our first play-in team, the Bulls. All right, the Cleveland Cavaliers. So even as somebody who knew how good Donovan Mitchell was, like I'm an OKC fan, so I knew from jump how good Donovan Mitchell was. Like, and he's been incredible this year, man. Like he's been so good. It's everything that I think the promise of everything that he showed he could do at different times offensively as a scorer in Utah, combined with just some savvy and experience as a playmaker. and even as a defensive player that he just didn't have a few years ago, or at least as consistently as he does now. He's been incredible, and they started a little slow, but I've really liked what I've seen from them despite the injuries. I like their core with Garland and Mobley and Allen still. I do think they still need a little bit of growth from those guys and maybe the right like fifth piece to make it work completely. But I like this year as like a gap year for them because I do feel like the depth pieces around their core are a little bit better. You have a little bit more flexibility, hopefully, in a playoff series because of guys like Max Strus or Craig Porter Jr. So I think I like where they're at. I think they're a solid playoff team. I can't put them in contender status for me personally just yet, but it wouldn't surprise me if they got healthy in the second half of the season and went on a run.
Yeah, I think they are a playoff team, 100%. I think they're a playoff team with a hard ceiling though. Uh,
What is
yeah,
their hard ceiling for you? Second round?
I think second round, if that. I think honestly they're considering the competition in the East and considering like even their competition, like let's say like for example, the New York Knicks, who I'm pretty sure we're going to end up putting in the playoff team category.
Uh huh.
Just an example, they're a team that's basically built to take advantage of the Cavaliers, and we've seen it happen last year in the
Yeah.
playoffs. And then you have I don't see there's any way of them beating Boston or the Sixers or the Bucks, certainly. So I don't see them. I guess maybe if they're a fourth seed, I can see them getting past the first round potentially. But other than that, I think they're a first round, and that's because I think like
I
the
was gonna say, what do you think? Like if you have a hard ceiling for them in the second round, what do you think would change that hard ceiling? Like what would they need to do to, in your opinion, to get past the second round and move into the contender spot? Because I was struggling with that question myself before we got on.
there seems I would have wanted more offensive development from Mobley, but he seems to have settled into his position where we're sure he can give you some I guess decent production, but nothing that would justify him starting next to Jared Allen and then uh, I guess having a consistent offense that way. Because like as we all know, most of their offense is dependent on their two lead guards as of now, right? Especially when Garland comes back and Mobley comes back, we're just going to see the same. We're just going to see the same issues of limited offensive potential and limited spacing, I should say, even with the very smart moves of adding like George Niang and Max Strus. They provide
Mhm.
shooting stuff, and if you've seen Karis LeVert, he's grown as an offensive.
Oh, for sure. He's playing some of the best basketball of his career to me.
I agree that I'd say that's the best, but like having two bigs. Uh, See, the funny thing is, the Timberwolves saw how successful the Jarrett, Allen, and Mobley combination was, and they decided to trade for Gobert. And then that two towers ended up working a lot better than this two towers because of
Cat can shoot.
spacing.
Cat can't just shoot. Cat can really, really shoot.
Yeah. So, but over on the Cavaliers, you really only have consistently you have Garland and Mitchell.
Yeah.
Two small guards. So I don't see exactly how that's gonna. I mean, it's gonna keep them consistent in the regular season, but I don't see how it's gonna work in the playoffs. I think unless Mobley takes a drastic jump in production, uh, I think it's limited with like how well you can expect that pairing to
Yeah.
go. You
They
they're
they
not gonna
definitely
be
have
all-
some questions to answer in terms of both what you were saying with the spacing offensively, and I would say how viable Mobley and Allen is defensively after what we saw in the first round last year versus the Knicks. So I definitely think they're a playoff team. I'm maybe a little bit higher on them than you, But I could see I think their most likely ending this year as currently constructed is probably a second round exit. So we'll
Yeah.
see though. We'll see.
Well, they for
I'll
now
put
they
them.
can
I'm comfortable putting them in playoff team though. Is
yeah.
any disagreement?
No, no, put them in playoff team.
All right, the Charlotte Hornets.
All right. Well, I think this is obvious.
You know, the next two are kind of. Can I just go? Yeah, I'll just put that there. Do you have anything nice to say about the Hornets before we move on?
Mark Williams, but I,
It's
I think I
awesome.
think that's overstated at this point.
I
Well,
I always think that guys like Mark Williams, even if people are catching on right now, they deserve to still be talked about well. And so I appreciate as a Mark Williams enjoyer myself, I appreciate the shout out and shout out to Lamelo Ball for actually getting healthy. I know the Hornets haven't looked great since the few games he's been back, but to me, Lamelo is one of the most fun players to watch in the league. I'm really rooting for them to get kind of competent around him. If not this year, then within the next like year or so. Because I do believe that maybe I'm tripping, but to me, a Steve Clifford defense with Lamelo as the main guy, if he can stay healthy and if they can get the right pieces around that, I think that there's something to believe in there. I like the mindset at least behind where you're going from a team building standpoint. It's just the Hornets, so I have to actually see it before I give them any credit.
yeah, between LaMelo and Miller and Williams, they have the beginnings of something, but hopefully they actually take advantage of it.
Brandon Miller was has really been great too. I will say that he's shown me a lot so far. So shout out to him.
Cool. So yeah,
Moving on to the Pistons.
all right. Pistons we all know like,
Yeah.
and the
So
funny thing is
again, any good things about the Pistons?
well, I'm a huge Cade stan. I really liked how he's been playing even during their losing streak, or which is all year. But he's really starting to grow. Like he's gotten a lot more uh consistent in his scoring. I and less turnovers, I might add. Of course, I was injured, unfortunately, but he was certainly improving, and I feel like he's in his early Devin Booker Suns phase where he has the whole weight of the franchise on him, but he's out
He's
there
still
fighting for his
showing you
life.
something.
Yeah, he's showing us something, and
That's a great comparison, actually, because I've always felt like Book finally got credit in at the end of 2020 for the player that he already kind of was by 2019. And it's
right?
Book was already there. The team just kind of caught up. So yeah, I really hopefully that works out really similarly for Cade. He's been awesome, man, and
Yeah,
he deserves a competent like roster around him straight up. Like we deserve that. And to the Pistons credit, it's really not all bad with them. Like I still think that the pairing of Jaden Ivey and Cade Cunningham in the backcourt has shown me something. I still love what I've seen from Jalen Duren this year after a really great rookie season last year. When he's been healthy, I think he's been dynamic, even though he's got to fix some stuff on defense. But, he's a rookie big. He's a second year big on a team with like 4 wins. Everybody probably to get some stuff fixed. Kevin Knox as well. I love when guys come into the league maybe a little too early and don't really do well, but just stick with it. And he's a great example of that. I think he's every time I've watched them this year, he's impressed me with just how I guess it sounds like an insult, but that's just like he looks like an NBA player. Like he's making the right reads. He's making the right reads. He's making the right plays. Really confident in his shot making this year. So yeah, there's still some good there, but
yeah.
it's not showing in the record. How you feel about Monty?
I think well, I was so high on him to start the season. I don't want to go and buy into the bandwagon like yeah, this is all on Monty because
Mm,
there's front office issues with this team and it goes up to ownership. I think I think there's a couple things that he maybe should have done earlier. Like, well, there's the whole Jaden Ivey starting controversy, but
Yeah.
I feel like, well, he's been signed to the richest contract or one of the richest coaching contracts in the league, so he's here to stay.
Mhm.
Uh, this season kind of is a write-off, so he'll have enough time really to really adapt to this team. Like he's going to be with them for a long time, I think, and maybe he doesn't get them anywhere, but for now, I feel like these are growing pains for him. I'm not gonna I don't want to join the dog pile
I'll
and
say we need to see some signs of life, if not by the end of this year, then by the beginning of next year, or that seat's gonna start getting really hot. But yeah,
right. So, but for now, yeah, we'll leave about Tankathon.
yeah.
Okay, Pacers. I'm just gonna say right up front, I think they're I'm gonna go and say a playoff team. What do you think?
Oh, for sure, playoff team. Um, Even without Halliburton and with Halliburton out with injury, they have a really solid like 7 or 8 guys who can all score efficiently, really great spacing. I don't love the defense, obviously, but they're a young enough team with enough resources that the right trade could absolutely push them into contenders for me. Like they've been one of the 10 or so best teams in the NBA so far.
So,
Really impressive.
um, regarding the defense, yeah, it's still an issue, but recently it's actually improved to where they're not like they used to be the worst in the
Yeah,
league. Now they're comfortable. Like I think last time I checked, over the last 10 games, it was about
I want to say it was 15th, right?
yeah, yeah,
15th in
so
defensive
it was
rating.
15. Yeah, so what they did was they kind of overhauled the starting lineup. They started Jalen Smith
And
and
Nice.
right, so they took out Bruce Brown and Obi Toppin from the lineup, and that completely changed their offense. I mean their defense. Excuse me.
Yeah, they're still young enough that it's definitely easy to believe that with some tweaks and maybe a trade or two, they could be a much different defensive team. But man, that offense is for real.
It is. It
That
is at
is
this point. Yeah,
100% for real. They're not the team you want to be tired coming into a back to back on the road to, man. They'll run you at the gym
agreed. It's a kind of offense that's built to get you to the playoffs. So I think there's no argument there. Just
for
putting
sure. Playoff team.
yeah.
All right. So let's see. The Miami Heat.
There, I'm gonna say playoff.
Oh, for sure. I'm until Eric Spoelstra proves to me that he can't take a team to the playoffs, I'm going to assume they're going to the playoffs. Like
Yeah,
if you told me right now that the Heat went under 500 for the next 40 games, but Jimmy was healthy in the playoffs and they still made round 2, I would be very unsurprised. Like it doesn't like they're just so machine like still. And to me, I think they've added some pieces. Like Jaquez has been great for them as a rookie. Um, I thought Duncan Robinson has added on to what was a really excellent playoffs for him, for me.
100%.
And he's been excellent. Bam has been one of the best bigs on by any stretch of the imagination in the league. Like he's been all NBA good
Hmm.
or like close to that for me, especially when you consider the defense and the load he's been carrying without Jimmy recently. And Spo's just the best coach in the league. We laugh about the Heat culture thing, but
Yeah,
they're the only team that plays zone quite like they do, and it takes a lot in terms of coaching and team buy-in to get a team to play like that in the modern era. And yeah, they're awesome, man. I love they're a tough watch sometimes
yeah,
because they're not the most flashy team, but very fundamental basketball.
yeah. They can stay afloat even with being one of the most injury riddled teams, which I always respected.
Hmm.
Even now with all their injuries and Jimmy not playing much, if at all, the last few weeks, they're still seventh in the East, and
Hmm.
I believe by the end they're going to be a playoff team. Now the a small part of me wants to say they're contenders, which is a
Oh,
long shot, but it's the
that is
kind
a
of thing
hot
that
take.
you can't say they're contenders, but it might actually
I was about to
pan out
say
that way.
they were they weren't contenders last year, and they were when it was all said and done, they were the ones playing for the chip again. So I'm it's I don't even know. I take it back. I don't even think that's a hot take. Jimmy, Bam, and Spo have made two finals together with as long as they're competent pieces and they're mostly healthy, they can beat anybody. So I don't think that's a hot take at all.
And there's a trade deadline to think about. Like they have limited assets, but they can make a move.
Yeah, I'd like them to address their point of attack defense. I think if there's one thing about them that I need to see more from. Teams just get to the paint too easily against them. And Bam is an awesome defender, but part of the reason he's an awesome defender is because of his versatility,
right.
which means he's not Rudy Gobert at the rim. You know, he can protect the rim,
Mm,
but you want him more. You want more size on the floor to protect the rim before it gets to him. So, you know, so I'd like to see them address that. But other than that, easy playoff team for me.
cool. All right. So next, okay, the Raptors. All right. Raptors. So do we do we say sell the farm? Because they've already traded away OG and they're gonna trade Siakam.
Hmm.
But then the front office seems to be trading for players. So I think they're aiming for play-in. What do you think?
I to me, man, in the same way that with the Bulls with Patrick Williams and Kobe White, I feel like the Raptors have they have their piece of the future in Scotty Barnes, and they have two new pieces in RJ Barrett and Emmanuel Quickly, who they believe in and they want to see. Like they want to see those guys go. They want to see what they have. I say go for the play-in. Like you lose nothing to me
Mhm.
by getting Scotty some reps in important games in like March and April and potentially May, but we'll say March and April. So I guess to me, I believe in Scotty as a talent, and I believe in Emmanuel Quickly as a long term point guard prospect. To say like go reach for the play and see what those guys have. You know, like they're young, they're talented. Just throw them out there with some solid coaching and see what you got.
Agreed. Yeah, I think yeah, and really once they move Siakam, I don't see what else they would like. I think I think they can get away with a retooling instead of completely blowing it all up, which
Yeah, for
really
sure, for sure.
only there was really
Because
only
you already got the hardest piece to get to me is the star. And Scotty, with the way he's been shooting on top of everything else that he already does, that's absolutely a guy you want to see if you can build around if you're Toronto.
yeah.
He's been incredible this year, by the way.
So we can put them in and plan. Agreed.
For sure.
Okay, so now we have the Bucks. So I think this is an easy contender.
Easy. Super easy. Yeah, the team with Giannis on it is a contender.
Yeah,
Shocker.
they've kind of had a small rough patch recently. They've lost to the Rockets and the Jazz, but and I think that kind of gets people all worked up, especially at this time of the season uh, where these are kind of I guess someone called it the dog days of the season, which I agree with. It's easy to overreact to every single game and such,
Hmm.
small two or three stretches of games. But I think just having Giannis and Dame on the same team makes them contenders, no matter what. And they are second in the East. Let's not forget. So they're
Yeah, yeah. It's crazy because the standards are so high for them that you kind of forget they're second in the East. Like
exactly.
you forget that they're still like the net rating isn't as kind to them because the defense hasn't been great,
Mhm.
but they're still winning lots of games. So I can understand why why a team like the Bucks wouldn't maybe get to where they want to go if the defense doesn't change. But I also think the defense has been so bad and so consistently bad throughout the year that they probably know that too. And
Yeah.
so like if one or two of those wings off the Nets is available, for example, like the Bucks grabbing somebody from there or somebody from another team just to shore up that front court and maybe that point of attack defense a little bit. Because in the with Giannis and Dame, man, with the spacing that they have, you're just I don't know how you guard them. Like I really don't know how you guard them. So if they're able to add any sort of they don't need to be a top five defense with the way they're going to score if those guys are healthy. So if you can aim for that top 10 ish like defense on top of what they already have offensively, they could absolutely be the team that wins it all. They're good enough.
There was some rumors of, well, these are only rumors, and these, like before the whole Zach LaVine injury, there was talk of going after Caruso, but
I would have loved that for them. I don't think it happens.
it's not gonna happen, no way.
Yeah,
But that's like a kind of example. Like if they can replace, even though Malik Beasley, he's one of the best shooters in the league this season.
for sure.
But if they can replace him in the starting lineup with the more defensive guard, then
You'd have everything you needed in theory. Like
right,
Dame, a two-way guard, um, Middleton, Giannis, Brook is just that's a terrifying lineup, man.
right. But yeah, even like they're gonna make a move, but regardless of any trades, they're certainly contenders. I think we can agree.
Yeah,
Right. So the Knicks, we referenced this before, but I think they're an easy playoff team.
easy. And I would say of all of the teams like in the playoffs, I think they might be the one. I think just because of the way that they defend,
Hmm.
they might be the one that takes down one of these contenders.
That's
Like
possible.
I love their the I thought before the OG trade, they reminded me of like a throwback to one of those like a 2014 Grizzlies team, a 2004 2005 Detroit team, like one of those teams that is
Hard
just
nose.
physical. Like they bring their lunch pail and whatnot. It's corny maybe, but that playing with that sort of physicality and with that sort of mindset every night wears on a team, and combined with some really great guard play. Like I thought the quickly loss would hurt them a little more than it has. But
Hmm.
with Dante DiVincenzo able to just step in and fill that role, you really haven't lost a lot. And OG is just so good defensively on top of what they already have. And Mitchell Robinson also might play. Like I thought that he was done for the year, but I think they reported a week or so ago that he might be able to make the end of the regular season. So yeah,
Yeah.
I have to see it. I think they've been the best team in the NBA since the OG trade for like 7 games. So I got to see it for more than 7 games. But I really love what I've seen so far.
You have a point. Like I actually forgot for a little bit that Robinson was injured at all because of how good Hartenstein's been playing.
You know,
That's right. That's right.
he's Hartenstein was their backup, man.
He was the backup. He was the backup. He was even sharing minutes with Jericho Sims, believe it or
Yeah, like he wasn't even the for sure backup. Sometimes he would close if he was having the great game, but they would try to get all of them sort of burned, and he's been incredible, man,
which is crazy. He brings all that defensive energy, and he has a lot of a lot of playmaking chops as well.
for sure.
In the
Just
short run.
those, I think they're calling them point five guys, and it's just
What
guys who, as soon as they get the ball, they know exactly whether they're going to shoot, pass, or dribble.
I like that.
And both him and Dante are really great point five guys to have in your offense.
Mm, I like that. But yeah, regardless, they're just a more enjoyable team, and they're easy playoffs. And like you said, I
What's their
think
ceiling?
the
If
Knicks.
if the if the Cleveland Cavaliers ceiling right now to you is a second round, where do you think the Knicks ceiling is?
I feel like the Knicks have been a meme for so long that saying conference finals is like blasphemy. But but why not?
Hey, why not?
Why not? Right?
It's always crazy till you do it.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie. I was high on them and their ability to play upset for one of these contenders before
OG
the
trip.
trade for OG. I really love the trade for OG. I've loved mostly everything I've seen from them since then. Julius Randle is people hate him, but he brings so much for that team as a scorer, and he fits that physical sort of mindset so well, especially when he's playing downhill. And then Jalen Brunson's been incredible as well. You really, I don't know. I really don't have anything bad to say about them right now. If they're healthy, man, they're not a team of all of to me of all of the teams in that playoff team tier. I if I was a contender, I would least want to see the Knicks right now, strictly because of the defense. And then I like what they're doing on offense, but that defense is nasty, man.
And whether they make a move before the trade deadline or in the offseason, they have enough assets to get their final piece, I like to call it.
Yeah, yeah, they can actually they can kind of chill right now and kind of evaluate because they're in a really good spot in terms of their flexibility going forward as well. That's a great point. Are the Knicks good? That's crazy.
Thing.
The Knicks and their organization are really good. Shout out to them.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
So we agree on that. And now next is the Magic. All right. So Magic, what are your thoughts, bro?
The Magic have been one of my favorite teams to watch in the NBA so far, man. I I love watching this team for all of the things that I was saying about the Knicks and their mindset, especially about the defense. The Magic to me are a younger version of that same kind of mindset. So there's a lot of inexperience there, and there's some missteps and misreads or whatever, but they're never lacking in energy, and the mindset is right there. So I'm a big fan of this team. I know the advanced numbers aren't a big fan of them just yet. Um, and I know I said the other night, I don't know if advanced numbers know how good Bankero is, but he's coming for something, man. Like I don't know what like if it's gonna like what his ceiling is as a
Mhm.
player, whether that's MVP or All NBA. I have no clue. I all I do know is that if he comes back from one summer feeling like and the confidence and the footwork is right on that pull up jumper, I don't know how you guard him.
It was
Like
exactly. I think he's drawing. I mean, no one's going to be there. There's no other or like new LeBron or anything. But I think
if
there's
it's blasphemous to say to use your words, but if you're going where I think you're going, it's not that crazy when
there
you
are
watch it.
similarities. Is all I'm saying, right?
Like just to have to deal with a ball handler like
That
who's
big.
going at the rim at that size, and he just attacks it over and over and over again.
That's
If
right.
defenses have to even remotely respect that shot, I good luck, man. But yeah, I really love what I've seen from them. Jalen Suggs is awesome. I as a big Wendell Carter Jr. fan, I hated seeing his injury, but Goga Batadze makes you forget that he's even injured sometimes because of how
I
well he's.
actually did forget about him. There was a report. I don't know how reliable it was that they were even open to moving Wendell Carter. And this
Ooh,
came out. This came out this weekend, believe it or not.
I saw that. I don't know if they should just because he's so young and
Yeah,
talented, and I feel like he fits Franz and Bankero front court so well because of his ability to protect the rim and space the floor,
the
and
shooting is
because of
all
his
better.
age.
Yeah,
I wouldn't let him go, but if they're I don't know, it depends on what the offers are looking like. Maybe they're getting some crazy action on the line for him. I don't know.
right.
But yeah, to me the Magic are a playoff team and I don't know they're probably a first round exit when they get there, but to me I love what I've seen from a developmental standpoint from them all year. Really really fun year from them.
Yeah, I was kind of teetering between play in and play off. I think their recent like they've gone through a rough patch. I think
Mhm.
they've gone 3-7 in their last 10 games.
Yeah,
So,
and a lot of that Franz, they haven't been great since Franz has been out.
but the thing is, yeah, it's a very injured team. Like you have guys going in and out of the lineup. You have guys not playing like a very long time. I don't think it's fair to judge them based on that. So I'm gonna agree with you. I'm gonna
Yeah,
go playoff team.
yeah. I really hope for Magic fan. Oh, a little too soon. Really hope for Magic fans that they get to watch him in the playoffs. I feel like that would be a really fun team to see in the playoffs.
With
All
a
right,
chance this time.
say it again.
It'd be fun to watch them in the playoffs with a chance this time because the last time they were in, they had the Vucevic Gordon.
Yeah. I expect they're gonna get beat by whoever they play, but I also feel like just because the way that they defend, they can keep themselves in a series against anybody.
Agreed.
All right, so the 76ers are contenders. I'm gonna spoiler
Agreed.
alert. I'm just gonna move them up there. Um, my hot take for this year with them is that Maxi and Embiid has been the best duo in the league.
I don't think
I
that's
don't know how much of a hot take that is, but they've been incredible, man.
I think it's easy to dunk on the Sixers just again for their for for performing well on
Playoffs.
in the regular season. But there's changes this year, my friend. Like
Hmm.
you can see this is a different Embiid. I think this is a more consistent team than previous years. I think this version of the team, it's not going to be, of course that's the whole second round thing, right?
Hmm.
I think this is the year that they can break through that second round.
I'm almost ready to go with you there because I love what I've seen from them, and I think with what they got from the Harden trade, and you know, I think with what they got from the Harden trade, they can get a third ball handler, but I do think they need a third ball handler.
Agreed.
I would like it if they. I know everybody's talking about Siakam to the Kings or to the Pacers, which would be great. I would love to watch either of those.
Mhm.
But to me, if we're talking about like which move would make the most sense and like could potentially change the landscape of the league. Like I think it's Siakam to the Sixers.
Interesting.
Like I feel like if they could get another guy who can dribble, who can create for himself, create for his teammates, defend. Like Siakam's just such a great. He's a utility player who can go get you 25 a game if he needs to, like 20, 25 a game.
Hmm.
And I think like in the playoffs, guys like that who can be creative in the front court because of their ball handling, just it with him next to Embiid, I feel like it just gives you such a dynamic offense. Like you really have, even if Siakam isn't, Steph Curry from three,
Yeah.
what he gives you on both ends, and the energy he plays with, and just how much a defense has to respect his play style because of how he attacks. I would love something like that for the Sixers. So I need to see for the Sixers, like if it's not Siakam, that's definitely what I want. That's what I'm rooting for him. But if it's not him, I would love for them to just get a third ball handler because
Hmm.
I as good as Maxi and Embiid have been, sometimes against elite defenses, the plan is just to let those guys, do whatever they want to do and kind of keep everybody else in check. And it's a pretty effective one at times because there's not a whole lot of creation on the floor outside of those two.
Brogdon off the
Yeah.
bench would be a dream.
Say it again.
Brogdon, Malcolm
Right.
Brogdon,
Wait, say it again.
Malcolm Brogdon.
Oh, Brogdon?
Yeah,
Hmm.
off the bench. I don't know
I
if he's available though.
honestly, Brogdon and Grant would fit really well in that starting lineup, or at the very least in that like Jeremy Grant is a name that hasn't been brought up a whole lot because of his contract,
Yeah,
but he used to play in Philly,
right.
and like he would fit really well next to Embiid as well.
Mm,
And Brogdon is awesome, so I would
exactly.
Sixers. would be great with him, especially in that it's not like DeAndre Melton hasn't been good. I'm sorry, DeAnthony Melton hasn't been good in that secondary ball handler role, but it's just like Malcolm Brogdon to me is a little bit more dynamic as a scorer, so he
Yeah.
might give you a few more looks that Melton kind of can't.
But anyway, regardless, I think in the end we can agree they're definitely up there.
If you got a player like Embiid playing like he's been playing this year, you can do anything
Yeah.
potentially. He's been incredible.
So
And
the
last, and possibly least,
last and least that's
the Wizards. Spoiler alert: we're gonna
yeah,
move them right there
right there in tank is on.
in the tankathon. Do you have anything good to say about the Washington Wizards?
Yeah, so they have a future now. They're still horrible. They're more horrible than they've ever been in like the past 6 years or 7 years. But I think that's the point. They've been in the middle for so long that they've kind of been one of the most boring and most forgotten teams. And it's been this way since like 2017, at least.
Yeah,
So yeah, at the very least, they're a dumpster fire, but they're one that with a goal in mind. You know what I'm saying?
I losing is not the worst thing if you have a plan behind it. And I think the Wizards finally have an idea of what they're losing for, and that's definitely positive for them. I also think I've seen some nice things developmentally from some of the guys on their team. Bilal has been really fun to watch defensively. I think he's going to end up being a nice player for them. I like what I've seen in terms of like just looking like competent NBA players from guys like Corey Kispert and Denny Advia, because those are first round draft picks for the Wizards. Those are the guys that you kind of need to pan out somewhat, and the
Right.
fact that they both look like competent NBA players says something. And Daniel Gafford's legit one of my favorite role players in the league. He's still great. If a team, I think he could get a solid pick and prospect back for them because he's a really solid player. Some team should, if they aren't, should give them something for Daniel Gafford. And people are low on him, man, but I'll take all the Jordan Poole stock that y'all will let me buy. I
Why?
just feel like he's such a talented ball handler, and
He has all the room in the world now. Why?
yeah, it's less that well, number one, so he's just because the talent is still there, but he's just facing a different level of scouting against him.
Mhm.
There's a different. It's way different to go from a an offense in Golden State where your role is very much known every night generally, and even when Steph isn't playing, you know where the increase is coming from. You know where your shots are coming from, and it's a system that everybody knows works. Whereas like in Washington, they don't have anything built like that. So
Oh,
he's trying to help them build towards something like that, I guess hopefully. And I know the signs, especially at the beginning of the year, haven't been super promising, but I just feel like he's such a talented player. And the rise he's had as a player was so I of all the guards in the last few years, I don't know if any guard in the NBA went from completely unplayable to like a solid contributor as quickly as Jordan Poole did. Because when I watched him at the end of the 2020 season, there just wasn't a whole lot there. And from to be where he's at now, from where he's been, I feel like I'm gonna give it a few years before I give up on him. I need to see it fail a lot more than I have so far this year before I completely give up on him. Just because the talent to me is just he's so talented that within the right system, with enough time, with some seasoning, and maybe a vet in their locker room to help him with that part of the game, like the mental part of the game, I think they have a really good one in Jordan Poole. We'll see though. I might be completely wrong. We'll see.
apparently you see there's a future for Poole. And yeah,
I like Jordan Poole. Maybe that might be my bias speaking. There might not be anything there. But I do feel like we're giving up on him a little too soon, and I'd like to see the see him in a bit more structure for a longer time before I give it up on him. So yeah.
Understandable. That's really a novel take because like the common default opinion is just to dogpile on him.
We throw the baby away with the bathwater so much, man, that we forget like these are human beings, you know. So Jordan Poole is like he went from a six man to now this is kind of his team, and it was expected to be his team at least,
Yeah,
and that's a huge jump in like just on the scouting report in
yeah,
terms of how he's being defended. So and who's defending him. So yeah, it takes guys sometimes a little time, and I want to see him. I'm gonna start that judgment period, I guess, next year with him, just because I figured this one was gonna be rough.
right. Okay, so like, but at the end of the day, we can agree that they're tanking. It's not
For
really.
sure. 100%.
So
No argument for me there.
so overall, we have so now we're kind of at the end, and yeah, I think last thing to do is I'm gonna say, given where the season's at now, I still think to come out of the West, I'm gonna predict the Celtics. Easiest choice.
Um, if I had to make one pick to come out the East, I'm gonna go with the Bucks.
But
I feel like they fixed their defense at the trade deadline, and Dame and Giannis is just tough to deal with the spacing they have. So we'll see though. I Bucks any of those top teams in the conference finals, and I'm happy.
okay, cool. So, but yeah, it's definitely something to keep an eye on, and we'll probably do another one of these right at the end of the regular season. And
Yeah, and we'll also I think this is the first of two, so this is the
yeah,
Eastern
we'll be going
Conference.
over the Western Conference.
We'll do the Western Conference on my channel. So yeah.
All right, cool.
Um, you wanna send it off, or you want me to?
I think with these kind of videos, I've seen a lot of these in my own
Mm-hmm.
viewing. They just kind of end, and then there's like
Oh, fuck it. All right, I'm cool with
so
it
we're
then.
so let's stop the recording.